Hey everybody, it's Amanda.
And Rick.
And today we are answering your questions about us. Happy Valentine's Day. Alright, so I put on my Instagram page, which by the way is the Bealles, and I hope you're following us because I've been doing food diaries, I've been doing throwback pics, I've been doing all kinds of things on Instagram. But one of the things that I did was ask people questions asked people to ask me questions or us questions about us that we could share for Valentine's Day video, and you guys gave us a few questions that we are going to answer. Some of them we've been asked before and we've shared on live events or different things, but we're going to answer them because we actually got asked multiple times, so we know that there's a lot of you guys, maybe you're new and you don't know us and you might not know the story. So if you've heard it before, you know, bear with us. We'll try to keep it short. So the first question that we got asked, that we get asked often is, where did we meet? And you will not even believe the answer if you don't know it. We met in a grocery store, which is so ironic considering that everything that we do now is still a grocery or having to do with grocery stores. But yes, we met in a grocery store.
We met in a grocery store, that's right. We were kids, teenagers. It was my first job. You'd had other jobs before, but it was my first one. And actually, funny thing is, the store that we met at, it was my second time applying to that job. The first time it was a no-go. There were several months that went past before I tried it again. And the second time around they gave me a job, and on the second or third day I met you. So that's how we met.
It was the right timing.
Yep.
The next question is, where did you go on your first date? You want to tell them?
On our first date, if I remember correctly,
you know where we went.
We went to Denny's.
We went to Denny's.
After our shift ended on a Saturday night.
Yes.
The late crowd at Denny's.
I made him go out with me.
Yep.
Forced.
It was the 24-hour restaurant. And it was late. It was like midnight on a Saturday night.
Late. And it was raining.
It wasn't just raining, babe. It was a summer thunderstorm, pouring down, lightning storm, terrible driving conditions, and there we are.
Did that say anything about us? You know, it's funny, this wasn't one of the questions, but our wedding song is "Come Rain or Come Shine." So maybe that was like prophetic, I don't know. Anyway, so Denny's was our first date. So the next question is, how did you know the other person was the one? And I'm going to tell the story. So I ran the front end of the grocery store. That's how I met Rick. And I called him in because he had to get a drug test, which is so totally unromantic. But the way the company did it was, you know, you got called up randomly. Yes,
I passed. That was pretty good.
You get called up randomly and you had to get a test within 24 hours, and that was just to make sure all the employees were clean. So anyway, so I had to call him and say, your numbers come up, you got to come here and get the paperwork and go get your drug test. So he came into the building, and I'd never seen him in regular clothes, like we had a uniform at work. And he came in, and I'm telling you, I'm not spooky, I'm not one of those weird people, but he came in and there's these big windows at the front and the light just shone on him, and he was just, you know, he was just there. And I looked at him twice because the light was shining on him, but he was very bright, and I was like, I think he's the one. So that was before our first date though. That was when I started noticing him, and that was what provoked me to force you to go on a date with me. You probably knew much later.
That you were the one?
Yeah. I
actually started rolling it back when we were getting ready for this video just moments ago.
Yeah.
Okay. A specific time that I remember you being the one, I'm not sure. Because I don't want to give a generic answer. But when I think back on it.
He's so dramatic. Go ahead. No, I know you got something.
No, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how. This is just true. It's not like. But when we were at the store.
Okay.
Okay? It's like you ever know something but you don't know it? Does that make sense? Like looking back on it, you're like, oh yeah, I can see now, but I didn't know it then. But I know it now that I knew it then, but I didn't know it. But it was like when we got the job, when I was working with you.
Yeah.
There were a lot of female employees.
Yes.
All of us were about the same age.
We were.
And the thing is that I just remember you stood out from all of them. And like I said, when I
stand out.
When I would go to work, I would look for your car in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would seek you out, just wouldn't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, thinking back on it now, when we started dating and everything, it just seemed like it was just right that there was a Rick and Amanda. Rick and Amanda. It just seemed like that has always been the right thing. Kind of like Ken and Barbie. Or,
yeah, we're exactly like Ken and Barbie.
Or like, I don't know, like Salt and Pepper. Not the music people, the spice. Spices. Spice. Anyhow, it's just a normal thing.
Yeah.
Rick and Amanda.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have a specific time where it just hits me. It just seems like it was just...
It just made sense.
Yeah.
No one else thought so at the time. Side note. Everybody thought that it was kind of nuts.
Yeah. But that's
it made sense to us.
That's even the point that I'm making.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't even think that I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That it was it.
Yeah.
But looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, it's obvious.
It's obvious.
I was just too young to understand it, you know.
All right. Well, next question. What's your favorite memory as a couple? So I had several. I don't know if you have one in particular that you want to talk about.
You can shoot first. Go ahead.
All right. So I...
Make me weep.
I doubt that. My memories will make you weep because it's not your favorite. But some of my favorite things that we've ever done, and you know what they are, because I always beg you to do it and you don't want to do it. Mm. But I like being outside together. Mm. So one of my favorite memories that he thinks is crazy is when we bought this house, the yard, this house had sat empty, it was foreclosure, and there was like trash in the yard. And one of my favorite memories is the day that we went outside and like just put on sweats and like cleaned up trash in the yard. And I loved that day. It was so much fun. I know it sounds silly, but it's like, that's what love is. That's what marriage is. It's having fun cleaning up trash in your yard.
Yeah, the funny thing is that's not my favorite memory.
No, I knew that wasn't.
Not even close.
But it's just one of them.
That was a day that I was like,
I know you feel that way.
Trash.
But I love it. And like, hold on, one of my others was when we built the
raised beds.
Raised beds, yes. Because again, I like doing things outdoors.
Again, not my favorite. But here's the deal. This is what makes it a couple thing. Mm-hmm. It's a favorite memory for you.
Okay.
And I enjoy you enjoying your day.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes it a good memory for me.
Yeah.
Okay, even though it's not my thing, I'm glad that it was your thing and I could take part in it. So we picked up trash.
I know it's a silly thing, but it is one of my favorites. You know it's one of my favorites because I always try to get you to do it.
You know, I work, you work here, but it's good sometimes to be shoulder to shoulder and do something together.
Agreed.
Okay, we did some yard work a couple weeks ago where we had to shovel some dirt.
Yeah, we did.
And I thought to myself,
that's not a favorite memory, though.
No, but I thought to myself,
that was a little bit too much hard work.
It's been, I know. But I remember thinking, like, you know, we don't do this enough. Where it's like you and I, you know, doing something.
I agree.
So this summer, I'm passing that lawnmower, babe.
Oh, I'm putting you to work. We'll work together.
I know.
All right. So what's your memory?
Well, I mean, I got a couple things to say. And I hope you catch on.
All right.
Well, things that I like are not necessarily things that are like billboard worthy.
Okay.
But they're things that I like, and I think a lot of us are like that. The things that we enjoy in life are sometimes very simple. Mm-hmm. You know, I like black coffee in a little teacup.
And I like picking up trash in the yard. We're simple people.
But makes it all good.
Like a soup poem.
Yeah, I know. But let me think. All right, so let me paint the picture. We're young parents. We have little kids. Ricky is a handful. Love him to death. Love him to death. He's a little kid back then, fat face. But I'll tell you, he was sometimes very hyper, active. And we found early on that in a car ride, he would sleep. And on a day off, it became a tradition for a while that anytime I would get a day off, back then we were renting a house, and we were thinking back then that we were going to buy a house in Maryland and live there for years. So we would explore different parts of Maryland. I'd lived in Maryland all my life, but there were parts of Maryland I'd never seen. And just across the bridge in Virginia, there were places there that we had never seen. So on a day off, you know, I'm a coffee guy. I'd get a big hot cup of coffee, a big gulp. Not a big gulp, but a big brew. Big brew from 7-Eleven or something like that. And we would just get in the car and we would just drive and explore new roads and things like that. And you know, we would do that on the weekends and such here and there, and that was a good memory. Okay, it wasn't that we were doing anything fun. It was just relaxing, and it was spending time with you, and it was just nice. I think of things like that, and I think of like when we used to have family dinners, and I know the kids were involved in that, but it's just kind of neat to think about it. That I remember thinking back then that, hey, I'm a young guy in my early 20s, but look, got a family. And just thinking about that, when we used to do that, you would cook something, we would get the kids together. Sometimes we would have family movie night, and I would take the kitchen table into the living room, and because we didn't have a TV anywhere else but right there, and we would sit there and just have family movie night.
Because the Bealles are not allowed to eat on the couch.
Yeah. But I would
That's a Richard Beale rule.
I would lay a sheet down and move the table into the living room, kind of thing. But it was like family time, which again is not necessarily couple time, but looking back on it, we were a young family, and those are nice things. I think the point is that I'm getting at, I think when you've been together 10 years, 20 years, Lord willing, eventually we'll be working on 30 years.
We're working on it now.
I know. But I think the point is that all your memories end up merging into like one long memory. And hopefully it's a good memory. And for me it is. It really is. And I look back on it, and there are a lot of simple things that we did here and there. But it all builds up to just one long good memory.
All right, well, the last question is, what's the secret to a lasting marriage? And I, for the record, I think Rick would agree. We don't feel like we're experts in this area. We just know what we've done. And I'm going to tell you mine first, and then you can say yours. So I think it's two parts. One is faithfulness, and the other is stubbornness. And when I say faithfulness, I don't just mean, I think people, when they hear the word faithful, they mean not having extramarital relationship, which, you know, that's important too.
That's included.
But faithfulness is bigger than that. Faithfulness is you being faithful in your heart, in your mind, to the other person. Like, you're actually committed to them, and you're constantly making choices to put your relationship first. And it's not just about other people, it's about your job. It's about when you make decisions about money, when you make decisions about, anything in your life, your relationship has to have a priority. And so you're faithful to your marriage first and foremost. And I definitely think that's important. And also stubbornness, because sometimes when both of you eventually push each other to the edge, because that's just what happens sometimes in marriage, you got to be stubborn enough to stand your ground and say, I'm not going anywhere, we're going to work this stuff out. So that's what I think the key is.
Some of mine will overlap with yours. We didn't discuss this ahead of time. I'm gonna cheat. I wrote some things down.
I can't wait to hear.
I got my clicker pen. Okay, turn page. So I have a couple thoughts here. They're simple thoughts, but I think all these work. All right, you have to refuse. You have to refuse to accept anything less. Okay?
In a long-lasting marriage.
Yes. You go into it, you get married, it should be already established in your mind, this is for a lifetime. And I'm refusing to accept anything less. Sometimes people are kind of back and forth on it. Well, if it doesn't work out, I'm gone. But you have to go into it saying, this is it. Okay? So therefore, it has to be a level of commitment. A great level of commitment. Okay? And I also thought faithful.
Yes.
Okay, faithful to the person, to the other person, but also to your responsibilities and things like that. There are responsibilities that come with being a husband, and you need to fulfill those. There are responsibilities with being a wife, and baby, you need to fulfill those.
I do my best.
And I also thought of this, that folks, you have to be grown-ups. You have to be adults, mature. You can start your relationship as kids, as we did. But if you stay kid-like,
selfish,
you may not last. Because kids are flighty. Kids are moody. Kids fuss and bicker, and kids kind of go their own separate ways and things, and slam doors and such. But the older you get, you ought to mature and start thinking of marriage like a grown-up. Understanding that this isn't just the best type of friendship, and it is, but it's also family. And family stays together, kind of thing. Not to mention, the older you get, you kind of move slower. You know what I mean? And the thing is that it's really harder to get away, which is a wonderful thing. I tell you what, I believe, babe, if you tried to get away, I could catch you.
Oh my God.
I could catch you, I think.
Well, I said faithfulness is my key, so I'm here, and stubborn. So there you go.
And I wrote down to stay best friends, which is a simple one, but it's very important.
Can be hard.
Because I know sometimes guys get their buddies, ladies get their ladies, which they refer to as the girlfriends, the gang. And the lady goes with her friends, the guy goes with his. You gotta stay best friends with each other.
Yeah, priorities.
Okay, you really do. That friendship that you have with your spouse ought to be more special than anybody else on this earth.
For sure.
Okay? And I wrote down just a little thought here, and it's simple, but it needs to be said. You have to be enjoyable to be around. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes
striving within yourself, you mean?
Yeah. Sometimes when people get older, they tend to give themselves kind of the go-ahead to become grumpy.
Yeah.
I'm getting older, I'm getting grumpy, it's okay.
Or even just kind of stuck in their ways rather than thinking of the other person. You
have to remain enjoyable to be around. Don't become a dud. You know what I mean? And it does require some work. Richard Bealles, by myself, I'm naturally dud-like. But it takes some effort. But sometimes I'm like, Richard, you can't be Richard today. You have to be enjoyable, you know? You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. You have to make some effort. That's absolutely important.
You have to. If you know that your wife likes to do something.
Like yard work.
Even if you don't want to, you've got to say, Richard, you're doing this. You're going to be enjoyable today. You know?
I think that's good advice. I really do.
That makes for a long, enjoyable, fruitful marriage. Okay? You have to help the other person along.
All right, well that's it. We've answered your questions. Let us know in the comments if you have any more. But thank you guys for hanging out with us. We hope you have a wonderful and happy Valentine's Day.
Bye.
Bye.